Hello and welcome to an overview of Chapter 2 in the Digital Marketing Essentials textbook. And my name is Nick Matar, and I'm going to be going over just a small handful of slides that are in the lecture here. So to start off with today, I just want to preface this by saying that I am going to be covering a pretty small portion of Chapter 2 in the Digital Marketing Essentials text, and that there are many other elements in here that are important for you to know for this course. Now, when I think about Chapter 2, I consider it to be really one of the foundational chapters and concepts in terms of web design. When we talk about digital marketing, it's really an important thing to think about, because when you think about a website and what is the role of a website in a digital marketing strategy, a website is really the home for a business, for a brand, for a freelancer, for any entity that lives online. And for the small handful of companies that don't have a website, it becomes a much bigger challenge for them to control their own message and for them to achieve the goals that they have. So if you're following along on your own lecture slides here, I'm several slides in already. And I just go right into the web design frameworks. I really think that this is the one section that is worth reviewing in a little bit of detail. And of course, if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. There is also more detail in the courseware itself as it pertains to the really the 5 main frameworks. Now, when I talk about the 5 frameworks here of web design, if you do end up going into more digital marketing in terms of work or classes after this, chances are you're going to learn much more about different types of frameworks, specifically designing for usability and mobile first. I mean, mobile first has become kind of the standard in marketing to the point where it's almost overplayed, and people are not even actually, they claim to be designing for mobile first, when in reality, they're just making sure that their website works on mobile. We'll talk about more about that in a second. But the courseware looks at 5 types of design. The first one is designing for usability. Now, this means in a nutshell that you design a website to make it easy for the user to utilize. Now, that means capitalizing on white space, making it obvious what is clickable in terms of buttons, making sure that content isn't too intense, too deep, and making sure that there's a visual hierarchy. And it's really just following the general best practices of design. Now, if you look here on this example, Walmart obviously probably is a pretty good website in terms of design and what it looks like. There's a clear visual hierarchy. You have the banner at the top, you have the navigation and the product underneath. You know what's clickable. It's quite obvious, just about everything's clickable. And there's clearly defined areas. You have this red background ad here at the top. You have the navigation at the very top. And then you have different sections of products, sponsored products, discounts, and then some other sections under here. Now, I wouldn't say this eliminates distractions, because I think this site is kind of doing a little much here. But when I do think about it, you are focused on achieving a goal here. The site wants you to do something. And really, the idea of getting people to do what you want them to do on a website is a core tenet of all of these principles. And with usability, you want the user to naturally and freely take the action that you want them to take, which would be a conversion. Now, I do want to jump forward to the mobile piece here. This is just how the Walmart site looks on a phone. You see it still follows some of those same visual hierarchies here. And it's also obvious what's clickable and what's not. Now, conversion center design, this is listed as one of the web design framework, but really, I think this can be kind of woven into the other 4. And there's a bunch of things here that you want to look for: attention, context, clarity. We don't need to go through all of those terms. Rather, I do want to show you what we have here as an example. So Dropbox is a good example because the number one conversion for Dropbox, I mean, most people that go to Dropbox.com already have an account, first off. But if not, you're there and Dropbox wants you to create an account. Now, Dropbox is in the unique position as a brand that doesn't need to do a lot of convincing. It's been around for a long time. There's millions of users, and they don't need to do a ton of legwork to get you to create an account. Depending on the brand, sometimes you would want a different design. If I was launching a company today and I was looking for people to sign up, create an account, the process to creating an account is going to be a little bit longer, a little bit more time consuming, because I need to develop some trust between my brand and the user. Dropbox, on the other hand, they know that you're either logging in or you're creating an account. There's not a ton of other things to do. And there are, you can look at these different products that they have: Dropbox Paper, Smart Sync, but really they just want you to sign up. And it's pretty obvious where to go. You have your sign up free button here, or you can sign up with Google. Pretty easy. And it's all right here, very, very clearly at the top. If you think about this website compared to Walmart, Walmart wants you to start looking at products and start thinking about making a purchase. Dropbox wants you to take the action to sign up, which is free. So naturally, it's going to be a little bit easier to do, but you'll notice it's a very boring website when you compare it to some of these other beautiful flowing sites that are out there. But they're designing it for a conversion. So this is just kind of an example. This is what Dropbox looks like on a mobile device. You'll see the same deal here in terms of Dropbox Business versus the basic version. The 3 questions piece, I've never really used this before. I mean, I've designed dozens of websites in my time. I don't do them anymore, but I've never really used this before. I actually look at the 3 questions format as called design thinking. Design thinking is the idea that, or design thinking, design feedback is the idea that you want somebody to go through the website and to really not have, you don't want to put too much stuff in their face. You want it to be very straightforward, very easy to use, very similar to designing for usability. But at the same time, you want to guide people based on the design. You want to make it clear. You want to communicate what you're offering. You want to communicate the why, and you want people to flow through the site, taking action. So, what do you want me to do next? By making it very clear on pages where they should be going. The example here is Doba. This is a pretty old website, but it's very unique in that they have all these different, the web homepage is very text heavy. You look at this. This is not a best practice in terms of messaging. But at the same time, they're giving you the answers that you are looking for. Because Doba is not a huge brand, and it never has been. I don't think it ever will be. And because it's a drop shipping shipping site, so it's pretty niche. But they provide answers to your questions. Usually when you are new to drop shipping, or generally if you're on a website like this, you go in with questions. You're not going to this website just to create an account, for example, or to just look around. You are coming here because you're gonna weigh the options, and you're gonna consider utilizing them for your online business. Drop shipping is not something that we're going to really talk about in here, but in this course at all. But by that same token, it is a niche audience. And if you're into drop shipping, if you know what that is, you go to this website and you know what you're there for. And so Doba caters to the audience, and they provide answers to their questions. They provide the offering, drop shipping. They answer the why with their little headline there at the top. And then they tell you what to do next. There's the try it free for 30 days, a trial. And if not, you can answer the why should I pick you with the how Doba work, and you can scroll down. And we'll go through the website here. Next, you have segments. This is utilizing the marketing principle of segmentation. And the idea here is that you want to clearly build out your website based on different segments of customers. The example here is Best Buy, where depending on who you are and what you're looking for, there's something for everybody here, at least in terms of their segments. You have a big savings up at the top. You have shopping history, which is like a good, add to cart, empty cart thing. And you have the most viewed products. Lots of good directions for people to go, depending on who you are and what you're looking for. Again, I don't really use segments much. I just think you need to know your audience pretty well, but it is something interesting in the course here and in this chapter, and something to know for later. And finally, we have mobile first, designing for smaller screens first, and then adding content later. I firmly believe, and this is my opinion, that most people do not design for mobile first, even if they say that they do. The idea is that most web designers are still used to the times of having a larger homepage, desktop version, which is what this is here on the right. People are used to seeing that. If you're a web designer, if you're an experienced web designer, most of your life has been spent looking at a desktop, not a mobile device. Mobile device, surfing the internet on a phone is still a fairly new phenomenon. The idea of a mobile website, a responsive website, whatever you want to call it, has only really been the norm for about 7 or 8 years. Every day before that was predominantly desktop. And only about 3 or 4 years ago, did mobile traffic equal that of desktops, because most people still didn't surf the web back in the 2010s. I remember getting a smartphone right around 2010, 2011, and I could go surf the internet on my phone. It was so difficult to do. It was so hard. I mean, my phone itself was clunky, and then being able to load a web page in that desktop format was very difficult. But if we go back a couple of pages here, how can you tell? We're not going to really be able to go into too much detail on that today. But a mobile first example is one, making sure that it's designed for mobile. But then second, being able to, if you know mobile, if a site is designed for mobile first, look at the mobile site. And you see, okay, that's pretty standard. Most mobile websites would look something like this. There's a good scroll. These are 3 sets of the scroll. So you scroll at the top, go down, down, down again. I think these are pretty standardized for today. And it goes all the way down, super, super long page, which is great. But then you see the desktop version. And this is the difference, where you can see on desktop, it doesn't look quite as crisp and quite as clean, where sorry, if I go back up here, you see this, for example, over here on the homepage, baby's right there. Oh, wait, there's a parent. Obviously there's a parent over there. There's much more space here. There were 3 little images down here, 3 logos, 3 accolades, and now there's 5 accolades. And the peace of mind guarantee is just in the center. So you can see that there was a lot more work put in on the mobile site. You're not going to be tested on the difference of here. That's for another day, for another class. But I do think it's interesting, because most of the time people design for desktop and then they shrink down for mobile, when in reality, people should be designing websites from a minimalist point of view and then expanding it for desktop. Now we go into some conversion rate optimizations, how to optimize and A/B testing. I'm not going to go into that today. There is one other section I did want to jump into, and that is the elements of a web page. This chapter is largely about websites. Testing is a good thing to do, and I think you can figure that out on your own. But for me, I just wanted to go through a couple of areas that I have in particular really good experiences with, and that is design and the elements. So here, you don't have to know every single one of these, but these are all critical elements of a web page that are pretty common, especially in e-commerce sites and those online stores. One, you need to have a strong color scheme, which this site has. You got the light blue and the dark and the white. You do need some buttons. Buttons are excellent, not just like shirt buttons, but like website buttons. They are excellent to communicating to the user that you want them to click that. Images, obviously, you need a site without images is kind of challenging. Strong navigation, which they have here. They set up their navigation based on both product categories and people, which was interesting because they have like neckties and they have pocket squares. Then they have kids and obviously new arrivals. So, and weddings is not a category. I guess it's a category, but just interesting how they set that up. Trust symbols, how can you communicate that somebody can trust your brand? What is it that does that? If you look back at the, not all the way back here, but if you go all the way back here to the owlets here, those 5 images here across the bottom, or these 3 here, like that, those are signs of trust. You have these are awards that they've won. I mean, they're at Con Festival, innovation. So, that's one piece. One way to establish trust here. Trust is something that is really in the eye of the viewer. Sometimes trust is established just through strong design. Sometimes it's established through the level of the photo that is being promoted. Other times it's just a branding thing. And here, I'm not really sure what exactly is the obvious trust here, but if we look at it a little bit more, I think it's a pretty trustworthy website based on the design. You can use videos, you can use forms, you can use phone numbers as well. A phone number makes it easy for somebody to get a hold of you, especially on an e-commerce platform. Forms, you have questions down here in the corner, a good live chat function. Other times forms are good for lead generation, especially when the website is communicating to other businesses. That's really about it. I would go into the landing page types. I didn't want to really do that too much today. I just wanted to keep the video short, keep the overview basic. That is the brief overview of web page website design. For any questions, please feel free to reach out. It's been probably 4 years since I've designed my own website on my own, but I still know the critical elements of it. I'm still very well versed in it, and I still edit websites today. So I have a pretty good grasp on it. If you are a web developer, if you have designed websites in the past, I would love to hear your thoughts on this. And if you think if there's anything that you wish I would have talked about a little bit more, I'm always interested in hearing from students who work in these areas, especially on websites. They are always changing. First year I taught this course, none of these websites were probably around. So just wanted to put that out there. But that is all for today. Hopefully you enjoyed this chapter, and I will see you next time.